Bernadette, let me ask you, what does it feel like for you to enter meditation when you first start sitting? And what's it like for you when you're fully into it?
Oh boy. um, it's hard to talk about, and I get nervous, but I sink into myself and I just feel a wonderful feeling come over me, like some kind of gentle energy just sort of pulsing through my whole being, and it just makes me not care about anything else. I just want to sink further into it. After I'm there a while, it just feels a deeper pull, and once in a while I can still notice thoughts, but I don't care about them.
Notice what?
Thoughts, like my mind might still say something, but I don't really care. I don't get pulled into that. I get pulled into the feeling. The feeling is what really gets me. It feels so good, like a powerful drug that just takes any cares away, that I don't feel like moving or doing anything. I don't know. It just feels wonderful.
That describes me all the time. Karima keeps wanting me to do something.
Oh.
I don't want to do anything. Mark, what about you? Have you noticed anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, Bernadette, you put it better than I normally would, but it's pretty much.
Turn up your
So
volume.
it's like, I think very visually. So it's kind of like I'm at the place where beingness is always there. So it's where it's always available. I don't know if that makes sense, but to you, but I'm like I guess the best way to put it is I'm the beingness is running all the time. It's always available. It's always there. I went for a walk today and I came back and I really exerted myself and I just closed my eyes for a few seconds and I was in a very deep state of beingness because of the exertion that I did. But it's like superimposed on everything that I experience. It's always there. And otherwise, I'd agree with what Bernadette said. It's a very clear way of describing it. It is a feeling, and the feeling includes, it's like an energetic pull. It's like a gravitational pull. And I've likened it before to the feeling when you're in nature and everything is peaceful. It's very, very similar to the feeling of being in nature. It's like I feel like when I'm in deep in beingness, I feel like nature is operating through me. There's some kind of I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it feels like I'm part of nature. Nature's part of me, and there's a unity there that's undeniable. And it's hard to talk about, like Bernadette said, but there are times when the beingness gets so palpable and so dense that it's like this entity that's like right around me, right in front of me, and I can energetically touch this entity. And it kind of like reverberates upon itself, and it becomes very, very potent and very, very kind of like an out of this world kind of experience. But there's other times when it's more usual, like now, which is just like pleasant presence. I don't know what to call it, but it's like the
Pleasant buzz.
yeah, pleasant buzz, a pleasant humming, kind of like gentle symphony going on before everything else appears on it, or while
Then what
everything-
happens when you go deeper?
Oh, when I go deeper, I just go into very deep realms. Sometimes I go into like daydreams. I go in and out of daydreams. Sometimes it's not daydreams, but it's almost like I'm in a trance where I'm catching like this euphoric sensation, and I just keep going there, and I keep resting in there. And I've likened that to being in the cold ocean and finding a warm pocket and just staying in that warm pocket and enjoying the warmth.
What's the major benefit of meditation for you?
Oh, I'm such a calm dude now.
What?
I'm so calm now. I'm so calm, and instead of having preconceived notions of how to deal with situations or whatever, I mean, I still have notions sometimes, but I'm open to what unfolds. I'm open to the situation as it is, much more than I used to be, because I used to have pig-headed ideas about what was going to happen. And I would hang on to these pig-headed ideas sometimes, despite the fact that the situation was much different than I had anticipated. So all these assumptions, all these beliefs, all these attitudes, all these strategies, all they do is they end up reducing your experience to a very mundane and very mechanical, and it blocks out what's actually happening. It blocks out all the nuance. It blacks out one's native intelligence and one's native nuance. So, like I've said before, I used to have a lot of wrong ideas about other people, about the world, and especially about myself. But what I did notice was whenever, say I was in a social situation, and I would have social anxiety, and especially around women and stuff like that, as long as I suspended my attitude, I suspended my usual thought trains and just was open to what was going on in the present, things would unfold okay usually, but when I hang on to my pig-headed, stupid notions, my wrong-headed notions about things, that's when, I would retreat, I would feel hampered, I would feel awkward and anxious. But when I suspended all that, I could do amazing things. When I just momentarily let go of that stuff and didn't hang on to it. So that's kind of like a continuation. It's like a preceded what I'm doing here, which is going much further along that. Just not knowing, being open, and not hanging on to any thought trains, not hanging on to any thoughts. Usually I'm quite free of thoughts. I'm usually very, very free of thoughts. And when the thoughts do come, none of them relate. Usually, none of them relate to the idea or sensation of being a separate entity, a mortal separate entity struggling in the world. Not anymore. I see all those as barriers to the state that I want to be at. And when they used to arise over time, I would realize that these are totally counterproductive movements or habits within me. And I would go past them because I was so passionate about experiencing the ultimate, the ultimate. I was passionate about continuing my beingness. And I continue along that path. There, I said my thing.
In all too many words.
As is usually my style. That's why I said Bernadette expressed it a lot more succinctly or clearly than I could.
For me, meditation is so delightful. I sit down and I feel within. It's like a blanket settles over me that quiets everything in the body. My body's still there. I can feel my body, acutely aware of it, because I'm not paying any attention to the world anymore. My eyes are closed. I don't want it to disturb me. And the feeling that arises within, in the center of my being, arising around my butt and ascending through the stomach into the chest and up into the head. And with it, with that feeling, it's like my human life disappears. I'm no longer a human. That energy comes into me that you talk about too, and fills me with joy. And it can become a very powerful sense of joy that enraptures my entire being. And it's utterly silent. There are no words that take place in my head or anywhere around me. And my body gradually stiffens and stiffens and becomes still like a statue. And from the inside, it feels like both becoming nothingness, but at the same time, a huge marble pillar standing motionless against a foreground of movement. My mind has no words. My mind has no thoughts. And I sink into that stillness, which is so wonderfully welcoming. And I stiffen up. And it's so pleasant. It's a pleasant stiffening. It's almost like the opposite feeling of relaxing. It's like the human world goes and the world of pure awareness enters and rises and covers over the human world. And there's nothing but this fantastic sense of presence in me. My own presence and the presence of God combined into one. And by the presence of God, I mean the sense of awareness, of being aware. That becomes the focal point of my attention, is the awareness itself, not what is made aware. And I noticed that in subsequent meditations, my beingness can become fixated very easily on the experience of awareness. Awareness is not me, it's different from me. Just like the body is not me, it's different from me. I guess most people would assume that sense of presence that arises during meditation is you, because it's a rather new experience, kind of restricted to meditators. But reflection demonstrates to me that it's still just an experience in the world, of the world. And whoever that is aware, I can't find him. But I know he's there, hovering during meditation above the world. And the most striking feeling is a sense of happiness that permeates everything. And an appreciation that I'm in the prime world now, the world without thoughts, world without emotions. And this is all taking place in perfect stillness that can go on for a long, long time, not even stopping between meditation periods, but intensified during meditation. I'm aware of the body as a vehicle. It's not me. I don't identify much with it anymore. But I feel it exquisitely. And more than that is what I could call the divine energy, which is that which becomes a sense of joy. But at first, it's hard to describe what it is. It's just a slowing down of any perception and being fixed in place. And it comes in me and takes me over. I don't want to do anything. I certainly don't think, but I feel everything in my body that like I've never felt before for meditation, taking up meditation. My body's absolutely still. The mind isn't there at all, except when I talk to myself about what I'm seeing, like now. And the sense of power. The sense of power, after a while, disappears and just falls into the background. And it's me, just with constant awareness of my environment and my internals. And I just find it exquisitely happy to be in that state. The strange thing is, or not the strange, but it's not so strange, is that I can reach this state almost all of the time, anywhere. And I recognize now that I never leave it too much. I function in a very low intensity lifestyle where we may get one visitor knocking on the door once every 2 weeks. We don't see anybody except on the street passing. The market we go to is maybe a mile and a half from here. We don't go there that often. We order in because we see, we feel how much joy there is in doing nothing, wanting nothing, especially. That's what I've noticed more than anything. I want nothing. I want nothing. I want nothing. I just observe what is and enjoy it immensely. And then I come out of it and become Ed again. Because there's an inability to tolerate it for more than 30 or 40 minutes, the most intense parts of meditation. Then I come out and I go back later, a few minutes later. It's good to get up and move around during meditation sessions when you stack them at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, maybe 2 or 3 rounds of sitting meditation. When I first started practicing and going to these various masters, I had a koan. And I went to Mount Baldy and I learned the answers to a lot of koan questions. And I saw that the koan questions were not important, nor were the answers. It was just intellectual. What was really important was the happiness I spent in meditation, the lack of fear, the lack of guessing, the lack of worry, and being aware completely that the world was separate from me. The consciousness, it seemed, almost borrowed. And consciousness had a lot more edges than I ever thought of when I first began meditating. But I think there are times that my consciousness becomes totally absorbed in myself. And I just don't remember existing during that period of time. I become so still that all activity stops in the whole universe. And I'm happy. And I'm well aware of the tribulations that meditators go through between the time they first try it and the time they don't do it anymore. But usually when they don't do it anymore, they're very close to meditation all the time anyway. When it comes to other people, I'm very aware of the quality of their voice. How powerful their voice is. How sweet their voice is. How hypnotic their voice is. And I can usually tell right away where that person is in terms of comfort with internalization. when we were at Mount Baldy, they accomplished that with ringing a bell in front of you 3 times before you went up to see Roshi. And he could tell by the way the sound of your hits how focused you were, how clear you were. And you could tell also by hearing other students how together they were, how in concentration they were or not. And you can tell by their striking of the bell the depth of their meditation. Ones who strike the bell in the right spot, with the right tempo, and the interval between first and second and third is identical, means that they were pretty much enveloped in the meditation. But I remember then, the person I was then was basically just Ed Muzika. I hadn't become aware of that spirit that enters me now when I practice meditation. It is so absolutely sweet and lovely. And it fills the emptiness and the darkness because I close my eyes with just plain happiness. And it's easy to get to this state in everyday life. For me, it's not a hit and miss thing whether I feel something different in meditation or not, but it's like night and day. Almost any time I wanted to slow down and just be absorbed in myself. And I never found a self. You can call that sense of presence the self, but I don't think so. That's not the source. But one of the things you must do is become first aware of your body, your breathing, the tension throughout your body, how your body feels in contact with the environment, where the tension is. For me, all the tension in my body disappeared 3 or 4 years ago. I used to have tension in my upper back, my shoulders, my neck. One day I noticed it wasn't there anymore. And it hasn't returned since. So when I sit in meditation, I feel no tension at all anywhere. And actually, outside, I don't feel tension anymore either. And I'm preoccupied with how do I engender this meditation state in others without just brute meditation. And part of it is I try to describe spiritual states in a way it could be understood by those who haven't experienced them. At least they understand what it's like. So when they begin to experience it, they feel a sense of joy of arrival and attainment, which becomes transformed into living in that constant sense of presence. When you sit deeply in meditation and are taken over by whatever it is that's revealed in meditation, whether to call it energy or a state or nothingness, doesn't matter, because you're taken to a different world. And that world is much different from the everyday human world of words and concepts and things to do. I have nothing to do anymore. I've become good for nothing. And the less I've had to do, I find that the more Karima does to make up for what I don't do. And she does it willingly. She doesn't complain. Except once in a while. But know that, no, you can't walk there. It'll disappear if you walk on the keyboard. Hey, Radha, come here. Come on. Come on. This is Radha, our oldest cat. She's about 12. And isn't she pretty? Look at her. Look at her face. Look at the eyes. She's our leading meditating feline. Little Eddie is, not little Eddie, but Shakti is the newest. And he's becoming an imp. And he's gradually becoming the boss as he gets bigger and fills out. He's already our biggest cat. And he doesn't care for me at all. He has no taste. He should be able to see my delightful spirit and how much I love him. And that should knock the wind out of him just that way. But it doesn't. He just wants to hang around Karima, lick her nose and lick her tongue, because she sticks her tongue out and he licks her tongue, which I have photographs of. Are there any questions any of you have about anything? 2 + 2 = 4. 3 + 5 is 8. 3 × 5 is 15. Anything else that's missing in your life? Anything else you want to know that I can bullshit my way through explaining to you? just know that the more advanced you become, or I would say, just the more experienced you become in meditation, the easier it is to get rid of the human aspect of you, the fears, the joys, as you feel something else in meditation, the rising of great joy, and it's integral. It's like one piece of things. And it arises in you and has varying intensities. But the experience of that joy cuts through any problems you have. These problems just are burned away. And that's the wrong verb to use, because it's not like burning at all. It's like evaporating. And then when you're deeply in those states of being in the jaws of intense concentration, all that there is the bliss of nothingness, of the mind not moving, not experience anything. You're not aware of the world around you that much. Mostly you're aware of your own happiness. And you're aware that there's nothing you can do except to be. If you try to act on something you think the body wants or your mind wants, you'll just lose the state. And with that realization, you get to the point where you don't lose it anymore. You don't even feel the need to talk to yourself. And for now, I feel my body very acutely. And I feel intense silence surrounding me and within me. And it's extremely pure because there are no phenomena there. In the deeper meditation, you're taken totally out of the human world, as the concepts of the human world do not apply to what you experience in deep meditation. And it's all up to you. You're the one who determines how often you meditate, how deeply you meditate, what you meditate on, whether it's an object or objectless. And I would recommend meditating on nothingness or on the beingness inside of you that comes out during meditation. And when you wake up from meditation, you can feel the beingness very strongly, as well as the silence that permeates everything, the emptiness. And you become acutely aware that you're not human. And a lot of teachers say that, but I never knew what they meant. It's that they've lost that focus on human relationships and interactions that dominate most of our lives as we seek to fit into society and the puzzle that life presents us. When you're here, you don't give a shit anymore because you've found what really makes you happy. It's happiness in self that permeates you. There's nothing to do, nowhere to go anymore. You don't feel a strong need to do anything. And you notice you can just sit down somewhere and do nothing and be perfectly happy. Ian certainly understands this. Cassie too. Brenda is on the cusp of becoming a teacher herself, and her husband will follow later. Same with Ian and Cassie. But I don't think Ian wants it. Fuck you, Ian. You never get what you want anyway. It's good to not get what you want. It takes the vim out of you. I'm right now deep inside myself. What is myself seems to permeate my whole body and gives it life. Not the regular human life, but a divine life. Because every moment of it is perfect. And my body feels so happy to not have to do anything. I've graduated and got my diploma. I should have a funeral for my past life, my identification with humanhood. But I don't miss it, so I'm not going to do it. I love you all. I feel this very strongly, and it's very closely related to that sense of presence that expands so much in meditation. You know, most people don't recognize that they have a sense of presence. It's invisible to them. So many things are invisible to them, non-meditating public, because they haven't slowed down long enough to become aware of them. I remember when I first started sitting 50 years ago, whatever it is, something like that. I had no fucking idea what I was doing, what the goal was, or what the states were. I remember being at Kaplo's Center in New York. And unlike most other places that I've been to, centers that require you to be silent, in Kaplo Center, there seemed to be a lot of people or putting a lot of physical energy into their meditation. So they were loudly huffing and puffing like they were trying to move a great boulder. That's the wrong way to do it. The huffing and puffing interfere with becoming nothing, becoming beingness, thin nothingness. The only thing now I don't know, is there an afterlife experience for the dead? Where does their awareness go? I don't know. I know this is the primary question for many, 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 many people, is what happens to us? But in this state that I'm in, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. Because right now, I'm happy. I notice that most of you are very still during meditation, which is very good. Bernadette, can you read the last two emails you sent to me?
Okay.
And the date?
This one's from last Wednesday, 7 days ago. Okay, this feels weird. Edgy, I feel as if I'm floating through the day in a sort of dream. What an incredible satsang today. So much energy today. About an hour before satsang, I was feeling the energy and bliss of just being. The life energy, like you described, that makes me feel so still and blissful and completely content. For some reason, after a while, I felt the need to write down some stuff about how it feels to be on a path of surrender. So I started doing that. But then another type of energy took over me, the kind that makes my body tremble and shake. It was stronger and lasted a lot longer than it has in a while. It started to happen a bit again at the beginning of satsang. I guess I sort of crumbled with love and devotion during the chant. But after you started talking, I really relaxed again, surrendering to the power of your words and presence. I reveled in the way you were describing the life energy and what it feels like to be immersed in oneself. Then when you paused, I felt like you took us to the source of where the words were coming from. You seemed to hold us very deeply and powerfully in the silence. It was incredible. I feel very drained now, sort of exhausted, but satisfied and content. I just want to stay in this feeling of being deeply immersed in myself. I just wanted to let you know how deeply you have touched me today. Thank you. And this one's from, what's today? This one's from Sunday. Edgy, what I experienced during satsang was a lot like what you were describing. I was feeling bliss and energy pretty much the whole time. It felt like bliss energy was coursing through my veins, going to every part of my body. It makes me feel so content, like a powerful drug has been injected into me that removes any worry or discontented feelings. It's like being alive, but with no desire to do anything, just feeling the bliss of existing. After a while, I started to feel sort of lighter. It was like an expanding of myself where I didn't have a specific location. The boundary of my body started to loosen. I was still feeling the bliss pulsing through me, but I also felt the sound of cars outside going through me. I felt the sounds of the electronics humming in the room, and occasionally the sound of my cat breathing going through me. It all became more bliss energy and like it was all in my body, but my body took up all the space in my awareness. The bliss energy comes often throughout the day. Listening to chant triggers it even more, and I listen to it almost all day. It may not be the deepest state there is, but it pulls me strongly away from the world. I don't want to talk to anyone or move when I'm feeling it. I'm not thinking about practice or meditating, but I'm content to feel like this forever. Maybe it is a type of effortless meditation, but I don't see light. I have in the past seen the most beautiful golden light and briefly the bright light, but it hasn't stayed with me. I would love to see that golden light again, but I'm so content to live out my life, feeling pulled deep into my beingness over and over, and the degrees of ecstasy, rapture, and bliss that I feel. I almost wish I would die so there would be no demands on me to pull me away from feeling myself. But maybe I wouldn't feel it without being, quote, alive. I don't know. I love attending satsang. I always seem to experience something beyond what I experience on my own. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bernadette.
Welcome.
Now that is the statements of somebody that's already immersed in herself. And it describes perfectly the path I went through many years of just practicing all day and not wanting to have anything to do with anybody or anything, and how happy I felt doing nothing and becoming nothing, but not knowing anything yet. And what has happened over the years is I get to know and trust these states that come through me. They're not alien anymore. They're not exactly me either, but me really, really likes these states, being deep inside myself. In the deepest, there's no me at all anymore. Even in the more superficial states, it's hard to be aware of a me. What I'm aware of is different kinds of pressures inside my body and areas where the pressures are and how they keep changing. It's a kaleidoscope. Things keep changing and changing. And all the while, I'm in silence. Eddie keeps wanting to walk on my keyboard, which will end satsang prematurely. I hope you can get to the place where you meditate so often and so deeply, it gradually replaces your everyday human consciousness with the consciousness always turned within, as in a sense, residing in your own source without knowing your own source, because the source is what's aware of everything else besides itself. now for a few minutes. Let's go there. Just immersed in your own awareness. No, no, no. No, Eddie. That's it. Looks good. There you go. Ian, you have a dog, don't you? Why don't you bring him to satsang? Have him sit on Cassie's head.
He's not our dog. He's our son's dog, and we have him a couple of days a week.
He's what?
He's not our dog. He's our son's dog, and we have him a couple of days a week, and on Sundays as well when our son comes and sits with us. But yeah, he's brought so much joy and togetherness into our relationship. It's just incredible.
Who, your son or the dog?
Huh?
Your son or the dog?
The dog. It's brought my son closer to me and me closer to my son. Yeah. Shared love, shared unconditionality. It's incredible.
The thing about having a pet is the love you feel for them is unlike that which you feel for a human. Because a dog or cat will let you in entirely. While a human being always wants to remain a bit aloof from the relationship so as to have some safety. But the animal doesn't need that, at least the ones that I've known. And being with them, I find complete happiness. That's why I advise getting a cat. A dog is similar, but much more energetic, much more into licking your face, which can become a little disturbing, especially if it's a big dog, which gets very demanding with his or her love. Cats aren't very good guard dogs either. What's Adam showing me? Oh, a German Shepherd. German Shepherd to me are the king of all dogs. It's like they're the epitome of it. But I dearly love the little ones. The runts that weigh 7 or 8 pounds. Because they're endearing in a way a German Shepherd isn't. Sultanate, where do you live that it's so hot?
Today we have hot day, 35 degree.
What is it?
Kazakhstan, 35 degree today.
In Kazakhstan.
Yes.
Wow.
I felt a euphoria from the spirituality and the powerhouse of just where you come from. I'm either going to have a breakthrough or a breakdown. So I don't know which. Probably both are the same. At the end of the
But a breakdown will bring you such happiness. Because you won't have to strive for stillness anymore.
I don't strive a lot anymore. I really don't.
Good for you.
Nowhere to go, nothing to do, nowhere to go is pretty much my mantra. I love you. And it might be love it.
Gee, there were a couple things you said that eloquently expressed what I was trying to. One thing you said was, when practitioners stop, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so when practitioners stop formal meditation, usually they're near meditation all the time anyway. So that's what I was trying to explain when I said that the beingness was always there. I was always at the place where beingness happens, even though it's not always strong, but I'm at the precipice. And the other thing you said was, when thoughts come, not to go there because it damages the whole beingness thing. So over time, what I used to think were automatic, or what I used to think were responses that I had no control over, like that, and they contracted my state because they were anxiety ridden or whatever. Over time, I realized that no, I don't have to take delivery of this state, because I know what will happen. It'll diminish me, and it'll pin me to a board, like a moth to a board of separateness and suffering. So over time, I just learned it ain't worth it, and I just stopped taking delivery of these sensations, emotions, thoughts that I used to think were inevitable, but then I realized, no, they're not inevitable. Even that is, I can heal those too. So that's, thank you for, I can go, like I've said this many times to you, I can go to all the same states you talk about, but I'll never be able to express the way you do. And that's because of my cognitive circuits won't allow me. So I speak in a very roundabout way instead of directly addressing it frequently, because that's the way my brain works. But when the state.
So you have a broken brain?
You can say that. My brain is not neurotypical. But along with that, I have abilities that most people don't have. Primarily, what you talk about divine energies, there's no sign of them abating. So I know you said it could take a long time. Is it possible that they will continue to my dying day? If I live a long life, they may continue.
Well, it depends on what you're feeling, because the just consciousness itself has a kind of energy with it, and it becomes very acute in meditation.
Which I also
that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, I don't know if, I was describing that, I think, before, when I said that sometimes in meditation or beingness, it becomes very solid, very palpable. Like it becomes like a mountain of like.
Yes, it is.
Of like, but you call it, I call it euphoria rather than bliss, because bliss is such a vague term that people can take it many different ways, but it's, I like euphoria better, but happiness is a good one and joy is a good one. But in terms of being a succinct explainer of my states, I'll always struggle. But with the states themselves, I have no problem at all. I'm constantly immersed in beingness. And, but I'll never be an edgy. I'll get closer, but I have my.
You'll be a Mark.
Yeah, that's true. I'll be a Mark.
You'll be Saint Mark.
Thank you, Reggie. But thank you for everything. It'll be coming up close to 6 years. I was just watching a YouTube where I asked one of my first questions to you, and it was like July of 2017.
What was
I
the
think-
question?
If you ever heard of Gurdjieff, if Gurdjieff's teachings are similar to non-duality, and I went on for a few minutes, and then after I asked all the question, you go, that you said you weren't familiar with Gurdjieff, and I remember asking you that question also, but yeah, it's on video. I was there July 2017, and
What year?
2017, 6 years ago. 6 years ago, 2017, almost exactly 6 years ago.
Okay, we can
July.
all look that up and listen to it.
Yeah, I don't appear on camera. Just you, it's one of those where you appear on camera, and everyone is wearing like a headset like this instead of like today. Only I wear this stupid headset, but back then, everyone was wearing a wired headset. Even you, I think.
Was VJ wearing one?
Maybe not, but he's always been technologically ahead of the curve, being an IT guy.
This is wireless.
Yeah, VJ, but 6 years ago, did you have a wireless headset?
No.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. At 6 years ago, what I'm wearing here, the wired headset, like everyone was wearing, or pretty much everyone. Now everything's wireless. The wireless has been pretty much perfected compared to back then.
Okay. Maxie, do you have anything to say?
I
Like
think this
why you
one
don't
was
come-
super special. I
What?
think this one was super special. If whoever has it, please post it.
Reggie, I was only thinking when you said if there's an afterlife, I still think of it as anesthesia. When you come out of anesthesia, you didn't exist. It's something like dead is dead. I mean, it is like a petite death. It's as close as I never died, so I don't know. But I mean, Nisargadatta didn't believe in reincarnation. He said there might be a residue from each life. And desire, if it's a desire body, you get a body. If you want another body, you get another body. I mean, Robert Adams talked about it, but then you get down to the no self, no others, and pure subjectivity. And pure awareness has no self-awareness. So there's all this, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole because I'd rather just be dumb as a rock. But yeah, those are huge questions. They're unanswerable. As far as you can help me out with this. You've probably been around the track many more times. I only hope in this incarnation that I have what might be construed as an attainment. But
VJ sent a message saying that 55 degrees centigrade was 131 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, that's what I figured, 130 degrees. So thank God, Sultanate, it's not 130 degrees there.
It's only
I mean,
131.
Well, fuck you, VJ. Who said 131? All right. I love you all.
Okay. Take care. I love you. See if you can make it through. I've been thinking of expanding to another day too. But what I really would like to have is a physical place for satsang. And I got my house here and the house across the street. Maybe that could be meditation hall across the street.
I can be there. I could be there. I could do that.
Okay.
I could do that. Yeah. Believe me, that's doable.
Okay. I love you all.
I love you, Edgy. Thank
And
you.
you too, Jay.
I know. Get a cat.
Yeah, you need to get a cat.
I need to get a cat.
Bye-bye.
I love you.
Vaselina sends her love. Bye-bye.